As someone who has been fat and lean and everything in between, I can tell you that if you're going to listen to the majority of health advice out there, you are eventually going to gain fat while eating less.
I know people don't want to hear this. The real key to losing belly fat is just getting into a caloric deficit consistently and doing it for long enough.
Now, the most effective way to create the calorie deficit Lane talked about is by modifying your diet. That's where our next expert comes in, Alan Aragon.
They are basically selling you two things. One, eat less, lower your caloric intake, and two, here's some hacks and tools on how to do that. They're essentially telling you to starve yourself forever, and here's how to cope through life with a lowered metabolism, which leads to lowered testosterone, protective hormones, increase in stress hormones, which leads to a host of different issues. I have been here, I have done that, I have suffered, and I've seen it with other people time and time again. This is not the right way to get lean. And they promote this.
Next thing we're going to talk about is calorie deficit. So calorie deficit, biologically speaking, is the actual way that you lose body.
And I get a little fired up, honestly, because these people are selling this, getting so many views with inferior or sometimes even downright bad, dangerous methods. They're ruining they're destroying metabolisms, destroying health through these stupid methods, and they don't know any better. If you do not understand this framework yet, it is absolutely life-changing, all right? It changed my life. This is all downstream from Dr. Pete's work. I am not a genius. I have just incorporated all these methods. So, in this video, I would like to share with you the right way to get lean. It is not just your genetics. Yes, genetics define your biological framework and the health you were born with, but everyone has within them a way to unlock their genetic potential. I'm not saying that's easy, but the alternative is going through life as a victim, blaming everything on your genetics, which I've done, and it leads absolutely nowhere. It's more suffering. You can either make the most out of the cards you've been dealt and play the game, or you can not play the game, which is boring. It's also not just your discipline. While discipline can be a good tool, it is not the core reason for why people are fat. Contrary to popular belief, people are not moving less than ever and not eating more than ever.
Century-long metabolic decline, not less exercise, and or more eating causes the obesity epidemic.
So, and then they looked at the physical activity of humans, and they found out that the youngest generation actually have the highest amount of physical activity per person that has ever been measured since the records have been kept. So the only thing that remains like, okay, are they basically eating more and compensating? No, they're actually consuming the least amount of calories, moving, more than any other generation, and still obesity is skyrocketing.
The thing is, anyone with enough discipline can starve themselves lean in 3 months, but habits should only be formed if they lead to an uptrend in health and energy, and they lead towards your goals. Sleeping 5 hours a night and doing 3 hours of cardio every day are also habits, but those are habits that destroy you instead of build you up and nourish you. Sorry if it sounds a little bit ranty, but you gotta ask yourself, do you just want to be lean? Or do you want to be so freaking healthy that you become lean as a side effect of that good health? It's the same with other areas in life. Take, for example, guys that really want a girlfriend. Do they really just want a girlfriend? Or do they want to become an attractive guy that gets the girlfriend because they are an attractive guy? The former is not very sustainable, while the latter probably lasts a little longer. Same with money. Do you just want to be rich, or do you want to be someone that has the skills to make a lot of money? Honestly, I just want to be rich. Before we get into the fix, let's go over the real reason people are fat. It is because a lack of energy. Everyone knows about calories in, calories out, but few realize the importance of that part in the middle, the throughput, or more specifically, your metabolism. Environmental stressors like PUFA, polyunsaturated fatty acids, the seed oils, they block your body from turning foods into energy. That includes your fish oil, by the way. On a cellular level, your cells are literally incapable of taking oxygen and glucose and turning it into ATP or energy. Now, Combine the environmental stressors with the habitual stressors like lack of sleep, lack of nutrition, and chronic undereating for fat loss, and you get a compromised metabolism. The metabolism slows down, and the metabolism regulated by your thyroid regulates all the processes in the body, not just how it converts food into energy, but everything from your hair, your skin, your nails, your hormones, your cognitive function, verbal fluency, everything. So what happens when there aren't enough calories and nutrition for the body to meet the demands of the environment, then stress hormones go up to compensate. This is a decent mechanism short term. It keeps you alive, but it's not sustainable. Long term, you're running on stress hormones. It slows down your metabolism. You become catabolic, losing muscle, holding on to fat, and aging faster. I know it's all very bleak, but we'll get to the fix. But at one point, I was eating only 2,000 calories a day, stressed out of my mind, and still not losing any fat. I looked good for a few months, but I felt so bad, and I was getting worse. I was running out of energy. Literally, my bodily functions didn't have the energy to keep up. So you can see now how a fat person is actually energy starved. And so they're eating for energy, but their body can't convert the food into energy because their metabolism is wrecked. And with people who chronically undereat, the same happens eventually. They gain fat on fewer calories than before. That was the rant. Now we're gonna finally get into the fix. I'll give a broad overview and then go into the specifics of what I do and what I've seen help me make progress. The first thing is we create a pro-metabolic environment that allow for pro-energy habits. You align your habits with your goals, and your goals align with where you want to go in life. Who do you want to become? What does that look like? Well, instead of using discipline to power through 5 hours of sleep a night, we're going to redirect that effort towards setting up our environment. For some people, that might actually look like raising caloric intake and shifting certain macros, perhaps staying around 15% body fat for a while as they restore thyroid function and energy. And as the body restores, fat loss will eventually happen as a side effect of the increased metabolic rate. This is the difference between stress-driven weight loss and vitality-driven fat loss. Let's go into detail a little bit more. First thing I do is I map out the environment, Google Maps to find my foods, the nutrient-dense foods, transportation. I was doing too many steps a day, 20K. Got a bicycle, my gym, the whole full setup, making it as easy as possible to stay consistent. Everything is built to nourish progress. My gym, the projects I work on, my meals, the rest I get. I mean, this is the basic part, really. You need access to essential foods that get you all your micronutrients specifically. For me, that includes weekly beef liver and some oysters or other seafood. I got a list of essential foods. I'll now leave it in the description. If you eat these foods on a weekly or even bi-weekly basis, you should be topped up on most of your essential nutrients. Your habits. Habits need to be on point. The basics like getting enough daylight, sleep, etc. You know the drill. I need certain supplements to function optimally, and that is simply because the environment is bombarding you with shit. There's people with absolutely great baselines, genetics, that can get away for a long time without any supplements. Genetic phenoms, that is fine. Me, I need a little bit more health. I got, for example, not affiliated by the way, but thiamine, my God, absolutely lights up my brain. The eustressors are things that make you grow. One of the things is leveling up your physique. For me, that's the gym, bodybuilding. Maybe you're a calisthenics guy and you can just do it in the park. Maybe you're a dancer. I don't know. Whatever it is you do, you need to level up your physique because it represents who you are here. It's your prime vehicle. I don't know what's beyond this, but here, you're your body. Next up, creation. Projects, goals, something that keeps your story alive and you can move towards. This is super important. This is big. If you want to keep your metabolism up, you need motion. You need momentum. Create what you want to see. Next up, fun. You need to have some fun. Honestly, life is a game. It's supposed to be fun. What I found helped me a lot was putting myself out there and finding like-minded people that have similar aspirations and goals, and then level up with these people. Like, that's the new playing field for me. This is toxic shit that will get in the way of growth. Think of xenoestrogens poof at people and places and situations. There is no overcoming these per se. Just try to avoid these as much as possible. It's easier with money, but we do the best we can. Lastly, in order for you to go where you want to be, you first need to know where you currently are. So, we're gonna double click into our character. I record my weight and I estimate my body fat percentage, track my calories and macros for a few days, and you might actually be surprised what you're consuming. For example, when I did this for the first time, I found out eggs are full of fat. So now I'm like, oh, I know 5 eggs will give me about half my daily fat intake. So I gotta be careful with when I have 10 eggs, I'm basically already on like 55 grams of fat for the day. And most of it isn't even saturated. So you know what I mean? Next, measure your pulse and temperature immediately in the morning upon waking and once more during high noon. Do this for about 3 days as well. These are the ideal stats you want to have. If you're below that, your metabolism can probably use a little bit of work. These 3 things give you a sort of snapshot of your This is not something you have to do forever, but you need to know where you currently are so that you know, like, oh, I'm only eating 2,400 calories a day and I'm moving a lot and my fat intake is like 50% of my total caloric intake. I might have to lower fat a little bit and actually consume a little more calories that are not fat. So it can be very enlightening. I invite you on this journey to get lean the metabolic way. This is week 0. Over the next 12 weeks, I will be applying every bioenergetic principle that I've learned ever since I came across Dr. Pete's work 10 years ago. This will be the perfect test to see how far increasing the metabolic rate will actually get you lean and jacked, without the weird freaking hacks, caloric deficits, and other weird shit. So if you want to see that, your body is who you are in this world, what you represent. I don't know what's beyond this, but here, an increase in vitality will allow more of your essence to come through. You become more of who you are, of who you're meant to be. And that's what it's all about, not just about fat loss. All right, see you next time.